Just set the settings up, because obviously the problem is with these that, like I said before, it doesn't let you just copy and paste your settings over, so you have to constantly sort of redo the settings each time you start one of these. So hopefully you can see and hear me all right. I might just quickly minimize the stream, which will stop the video for a second to edit the lighting in this room to make the lighting a bit brighter. All right, Gas Mask Dude, and all right, Rich. So yeah, that should be the settings correct there. I'll do pop-out chat. Then I can put this on a white screen. There we go. So that should make that a bit brighter. But then what I'm going to do now is, so bear with me a moment because you'll lose the picture for a moment. All right, there we go. Now that light set to the white, kind of blue-white color rather than the yellow color, which might show up a bit better on the stream. I don't know. So I put the ECBA on just because when I was doing that video on the plate carrier the other day, like I said, this is still my favorite sort of vest like that, because at least all your sides are armored with it. This one doesn't have the big collar on it or whatever, but at least it has the I'm just going to send an emoji to somebody because they have just right, anyway. So yeah. But what I have done, so I'll do a video on this when it arrives. I've got one at the moment, but I want to keep that one as it is. I've bought another one of those police vests. And what I'm going to do is use one of the armored police vests that, you know, includes the stab resistant. All right, evening, Rajiv. I was a bit late getting on, I'm afraid, but yeah, all right. Get one of the stab resistant police vests that's also like level 2 ballistic rated, whatever it is, you know, against most handgun rounds, a bit like the filler in this vest. Some of them are level 3A if you're really lucky, but not all of them are. Get one of those, and then I can wear that underneath that other plate carrier, because that other plate carrier is designed to be worn over whatever clothing you're wearing. That should work absolutely fine, because the police vests are like this, but less bulky, because they don't have the plate in. So again, I could take the plates out of this and then put that plate carrier over this, but I thought I might as well get a dedicated vest for doing it with. And those more modern police vests have all the molly-like hooks all over them as well. So any bit the plate carrier isn't covering has little molly bits on it as well, which is good. So yeah, I'm all right. Thank you, Oliver. So yeah, like I said, ECBA is still my favorite out of all the vests I currently have. But like I said, with that new plate carrier, I think if I use that in combination with a police thing, although it would be technically 2 vests, not 1, that would be exactly what I want out of an armored vest, because some people did suggest various vests to me. But again, the problem is that a lot of them you either can't find on the surplus market, or then if you can, you have to hope it's in good condition and in your size. Where, like I was saying, what I kind of wanted was a vest like this ECBA, but with a bigger plate carrier holding bit in it. But there's very few vests like that. Yeah, I've got that Chinese, like I said, so what I've got is the only pure plate carrier I've got is that Chinese one I did the video on the other day. And then I have a couple of different armored vests that can have various plates put in them. So like the ECBA, I actually have the proper plates for it. So that. But I've got a Polish vest that has both the filler and the plates. So that's like a Kevlar vest, you know, with the big steel plates. That's pretty good, but it's very bulky and heavy. And then I've got a couple of other like vests, like I said, that I could put my own plates into. But the problem is that unless you get the proper like factory fillers for them, they're a bit kind of, you know, either too tight or too loose, the fillers. So that's why I'm just going to combine 2 vests, like I said, by getting that police vest. I've also ordered another really good, what should be the equivalent of a level 4 plate for the plate carrier, so I can have a level 4 plate in the front and the back. It's one of the very similar Chinese one to Militech, and they're actually genuinely good plates because you can find videos of people shooting them on YouTube. So Militech is actually a Chinese company that, you know, is proper like a proper armor supplier, not one of the so it's like one of the ones like they do where I saw on the reviews of the one I ordered, some people had done photos where they'd shot it, you know, and showed how much the cheers Mad BG, we're on about just armor at the moment. So yeah, with these plates there's pictures where people have, you know, like shown what they look like before shooting and after shooting, both front and back. So it looks like a pretty good panel. But the thing is with those is, other than what extra postage price and that I might get on it when it gets to the UK, other than that, they're about £50–60 for brand new plates doing it that way. Whereas obviously when you normally get the surplus plates, they're £50–100 for second-hand plates. So you have to hope they've not been knocked about too much. Because obviously, well, the plates still are pretty good for, like general use. Again, if they've been laying around for ages and they've been like dropped and picked up a few times, you never know if they're going to have a fracture point in them somewhere or whatever. So, yeah. When I got this ECBA, by the way, it was a desert one, but I put the MTP cover on it because that's a bit more modern and, it's nice with Velcro on it. I tried to put the woodland thing in it, and the woodland one was a complete ball ache, so I didn't bother with a woodland one, even though I quite wanted a woodland one. Because the problem I had with the woodland one is it's a much smaller, like, little pouch sort of things inside for pushing the armor into the right shape, so I just gave up on trying to fit it into the woodland one. But yeah, so like I said, that new body armor should be quite good when that arrives, the plate and the police one, and then I'll do a video combining them. Yeah, most plates, Heavy Trooper, now use a bit of steel in them as well as whatever the filler material is. I think because the steel stops back face deformation, which isn't a thing really with ceramics, but it is with ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, which is what a lot of armor's coming now. So with the problem is with plates like this, if you have the ones that are like the steel, not steel ones, sorry, it's like you're saying, the what you call them ones. I'm trying to think of the words now. Yeah, like the ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, is because you get a lot of back face deformation on those. They stop the bullets, but they cave in quite a lot backwards. A lot of them have like a steel bit on the back to keep them more rigid. So when they get shot, the polyethylene, doesn't kind of cave your chest in that way. Because the problem with polyethylene armor is it's really good, but it does have the issue that there's a lot of hits that the armor would stop, but you'd probably be killed by the impact. Gas mask dude says, bro what? So, that was the right way up, wasn't it? I wasn't looking. This side away from body, handle with care, yeah. And although I think the arrow is the British proof arrow, not the way it should be done. What is my favourite old gas mask video? Probably one of the ones where I test it with loads of like deodorant stuff. So like one of the bathroom ones, I imagine, because they used to be the quite popular ones. So yeah, I can't show you that vest because I don't have it in this room at the moment. But yeah, the so like I said, I'm going to get one of the quite thick ones that's like aramid and ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, and I'll probably have that because it's one of the ones that's cut into the shape for most modern plate carriers. I'll probably have that as the front plate. Yeah, body armor is completely legal to own here. That's one of the things they don't care about at all, you owning the government, which surprises me. There's lots of other things they don't like, but body armor they don't care about. But yeah, I'll probably move the level 4 plate I then have in the front of that one to the back, so I actually have, a decent plate. That might be the proper name for it. Let me Google it. Yeah, sappy cut, that's the exact word. Yep. So yeah, like you're saying, sappy cut, those sort of triangular shaped ones, yeah, those. Because, like I said, the plate I've got at the moment is just a big rectangle shaped one. Obviously, it's slightly curved at the back to conform with a human body sort of shape. But the other level 4 plate, I've got the ceramic old armed police one I bought for not too much. That was, because it's not sappy cut, although it fits in that plate carrier I've got, it doesn't fit as well. Because obviously that other plate carrier is a bit triangular at the top. So if you have a sappy cut plate, it would go all the way to the top, where this other one, goes most of the way up, and then if you have a question, ask the question. But yeah, so stuff like pepper spray and whatever in the UK, you can't have at all, Frank. But stuff like body armor, that sort of stuff is fine. In Chile, though, can you order them and you've got, I like your monolith little thing, because I'm seeing it actually on the PC, not the phone. I can actually make out what your icon is. There's a monolith one, isn't it? All hail the monolith. Yeah, can you order off AliExpress? Because as long as it is monolith, as long as you like I said, get a decent import price off AliExpress, you can get stuff. But yeah, depends what you mean by all weapons. Lots of stuff's legal in the UK, Caleb, but you can't. Yeah, but it's you have to say it's for sporting use or whatever else. Like, yeah, they don't like them defined as weapons, do they? Yeah, that's what heavy trooper. This is what with the British ECBAs. That's literally what the British Army retrofitted these plates onto. So, yeah, later on, the British armors would have these plates as the ones that would slide in the sides there. But yeah, like I said, ECBA is the stopgap vest I quite like, because the ECBA is the vest that basically survived for long enough because of the fact that they struggled with lots of the other vests to find something that, you know, would fit a lot of roles, where for rear echelon troops, something like this was fine. Yeah, if the rubber's good on the C3, you get a 60 to 40mm converter on it and it'd be fine. Yeah, again, that's the thing, Frank, isn't it? Is you always worry, no matter where you are in the world, that politicians probably will try and ban stuff that's legal. Because I have seen some countries make body armor illegal because they say it will make criminals hard to stop, therefore nobody should be allowed it. But again, if you're a criminal by definition and you're like doing an armed robbery or whatever, you're not going to care if you're then also wearing some body armor you can't legally have. But it means everybody else is just at the mercy then of criminals because they can't have armor. You can get metal ones as well, Omnibad, but if you get the proper military plastic ones, not ones people are 3D printed, then they're absolutely fine, because they're made of the same sort of plastics that are used on the masks in the first place. But yeah, the plastic ones I've got are absolutely fine. The 60 to 40mm plastic adapters are fine, because again, like I said, they're the old stock of all the countries that used to have them just for, you know, so they could use the older masks for longer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can't have ear defenders either if you're committing a crime. But yeah, exactly. But yeah, so like I said, thankfully in the UK they don't seem to have. Oh, I've got one of the weirdos on. Hang on, I closed the wrong thing. Why am I wearing a vest? Because you're new to this channel, aren't you? But yeah, but ECBA, Bruce, I'll put it in the chat. So, enhanced combat body armor. So it was the weird British stopgap one that, again, I like and a lot of people liked, because while the plates are tiny on it, the reason it was lightweight and tiny was the reason it stayed in service for so long, because it was where you could issue armor to troops that otherwise wouldn't really be suitable for using armor. That's weird. What ones? Like the M17s or what? 2 English letters? Are you saying it's chilly here, Rich? Because where I am, it's not that chilly. I've got the aircon on. 0930 where you are. It is currently 18:30 or like 18:29, so 6:30 p.m. All right, cheers, Frank. Glad you find the stuff useful, but yeah. But yeah, like we were saying about armor being illegal, in France, you're not allowed to own gas masks, apparently, and I'm assuming that's because of all, like, the riot cops and all that, you know, where they tear gas people a lot. But yeah, in France, you can buy industrial masks, but apparently, what do you call it, like, yeah, any sort of military surplus gas mask is completely illegal in France, yeah. So, yeah, that's the weird thing, Rajiv. I don't know if it's one of those things that's actually enforced properly, but I know loads of the time when you're talking about French stuff, people who come on from France saying, we literally can't own that here. And it's not just been like one person. I've had dozens of people say that over the years. Yeah, the MP4 isn't too bad. Like I said, it's just a Polish M17 clone, isn't it? But like I said, the only problem is obviously you can't get new filters for any of the cheek filter masks. So once you've got past the ball ache of putting the cheek filters into the mask, they're all right. Just the problem is that you've got the problem that you can't get brand new filters for them. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's again, Firebird, like the riot shield needs to go through. Is it that way you do it with the yeah, like that? The riot shields are quite nice. But yeah, I was going to say, if you get a riot shield, go for a round one, not a rectangle one, because I've got a couple of both, and the round ones are a lot more practical. The tall ones, you need to really be in formation with other people to use properly. Whereas these, you know, you can have it hanging off of one arm while you have... Oh, a bit like we do with air rifles, Rich, like the foot-pounds thing of air rifles. They do a similar thing. I've got big one there, metal one there, and I've got two of the round shields. Oh, what's that in the US heavy trooper? Yeah, that's probably good advice for people there. Here in the UK, a lot of the stuff, if it gets decommissioned by the MOD, gets sold sort of in bulk. So, you know, it's kind of like, rather than going directly to surplus stores, it's essentially like the MOD sells it off through companies, and then people, I guess, bid for lots of it and then sell those lots on. Right, Harvey? Yeah, in theory, yes. So let's say you get some strontium 90 and whatever else, cesium 137 in your filter. You're still getting all the beta and gamma rays coming off of that stuff. So while it's not in your lungs and fucking you up, it is still radiating stuff outwards from it. So yeah, that's why you'd probably want to bin the filter when you'd want, you know, extra filters. So when you got to somewhere safe, you could literally throw the filter away at the door. Because, yeah, the problem is that that filter will have radioactive stuff trapped in it. It really varies, Devonshire. I'll have a look for you on eBay. But, again, they're ones that sometimes you have a spate of them go on eBay and they're quite well priced. Other times they can be really expensive. So I'll have a look. But I think most of the shields I got were between £30 and £50. But like I said, I do know at times, you know, they're really expensive, the shields. You can also buy, like, Chinese ones from AliExpress, but I've never bought them. So I've got a Chinese metal shield, and that's all right, actually. But the problem with the metal shields is you can't see through them. At least with the polycarbonate shields, you know, they stop most of the things the metal shields will stop, but you can see through them. So you have better situational awareness. With, like, the metal shields, they have to do, like, a little grate bit at the top, and sometimes they do a little bit of polycarbonate as a window at the top, but you still get a lot less visibility. Yeah, the best clothes for stuff like that is essentially like the rain clothes type things, because at least with rain clothes you can rinse them down afterwards. But yeah, certain fabrics will get shit stuck in them. A bit like if you wear a certain type of clothing, you know, into a place where there's a lot of cigarette smoke, and then you can smell smoke on your clothes afterwards because certain materials absorb it more, yeah. So they're often either called riot shields or police shields on eBay. I like how one of these things has a fake name for it. Rare ex-police army riot shield. It's a brand new fucking Chinese one. There's for £42 one of the smaller tower shields. And you can tell it's a good second-hand one because it's got burn marks on it. There's one of the ones like I've got there that, you won't be able to see on this camera, but like the metal and plastic type one. $49.95 for the exact same type of round shield I've got here with this type of like hook and loop design. That's $49.95. There's another armadillo tall one like my big armadillo one. They're all 50 quid. So yeah, if you go on UK eBay at the moment, there's lots of riot shields for $49.95 sort of price. And again, there's different designs you can get. Again, some of the tower shields are actually cheaper, but I think that's because they're the ones that have been more abused in sort of training exercises or actual use. Because with a lot of the ex-police, like riot Wow, this put, oh wait, it's $17.95. I should have said $179. Yeah, that's an alright price. But yeah, oh, there's a ballistic shield. I've got one of these. Yeah, somebody's got a ballistic shield for sale here, but their one is they want 156 quid as a starting bid for it. My ballistic shield, I think I paid like 30 quid for mine. Ballistic shields, again, you can't see through them. That's the problem, ballistic shields, and most of them are only level 3A, so you know they're about the same soft level protection as a Kevlar vest. But yeah, anyway, I'll go back to the chat properly now, see what I missed. Thank you, Tess YXX, if that's how your name's pronounced. Yeah, like saying Devonshire, with the riot shields, I think a lot of the time the price on them seems to be more how abused they are. Because some of the really expensive models of shields, when they're in pretty good nick, are the ones that are often like 30 quid when, you know, they're quite scarred and gouged up. Because the problem, obviously, with a lot of the surplus riot shields is when they're using them in training or real riots, every time they get hit by something, you get a bit of marking on it. What, gas mask genuine if worth a shitload? The MM1? Yeah, but I bought them years ago when they were cheap. Yeah, GP5 is pretty common. But, yeah, with the MM1, I got a couple of those, again, when they used to be sensible prices. The problem with them now is they're just silly money for MM1s, which is a shame because I think they're quite cool. But yeah, I think the listing I bought that from was about £30 for it with a bag and filter. Which, like I said, it's a real shame now that they're so expensive. But yeah, at one point, yeah. The thing is with M50s, like I've said before, I think they're an alright mask, but I definitely prefer the C50. Because that's the actual C50, isn't it? Not the Korean knockoff one. Because with the C50s, you can at least put normal filters on them. Where obviously the problem is with the M50s, you have to have the proprietary filters. So yeah, again, this is a 2022 dated one, so it was basically brand new when I got this. It was still in all its wrapping and that. But yeah, I didn't buy it from Avon though. I bought it from, weirdly, I think it was somewhere in Asia the sellers had them. As in, like, where whatever country had bought a load of Avon masks and then they'd probably been stolen from by a quartermaster or whatever to then be sold back onto the surplus market. Right, so the vest is an ECBA, so Enhanced Combat Body Armour. The old British Army one that they're just about gotten rid of, I think, now. But bear in mind, they used to have these in the Woodland DPM covers and the Desert covers, and then they later did the MTP covers for them because the vests were so useful. So my one I got was an old, like, Desert DPM one, and then I just put it in a brand new MTP cover, so it's, you know, like, nicer on the outside, not got rips in it and that. So I think the protection in them varies on when they were made. So I think I've got the level 2 filler probably in mine. But I think you can get 3A ones, but they're the more recent ones. And again, the problem is sometimes the MOD doesn't like selling these on. So sometimes you can find these for sales, but they never seem to be... Like, so for example, the ceramic plate in this, the one in the front and back, these are level 4 plates, right? But with these MOD plates, the MOD does not like selling these because they kept recycling these into other bits of armor. Because with the this was in the chat earlier, people talking about this, with some of the body armors, they put these in as like the side protectors, so they then have a pocket there that you could put these into. But again, with all these things, quite often stuff slips past them and, you know, ends up on eBay. So it's not illegal to have this, but again, it's the sort of thing where it was a bit like when there was stuff that was currently in service that they didn't like being surplus. It turned up, but, you know, ECBAs are pretty much all... The only annoying thing of an ECBA is that you can't easily fit a lot of aftermarket Kevlar into it because of the fact it's cut to fit the vest. So it's one of those really annoying ones where you can't just get a front and back panel from like a police-style vest and fit it in. Why do I want to be a pig? I don't want to be a policeman. if that's what you're asking. If you're on about why do I want to be an animal like a pig, I don't. All right, Zelensky. Right, glad you still enjoy the videos. Heavy Trooper says, don't quote me, so I'm going to quote him. You can buy adapters and new filters from Avon. Also, they make shirt boxes, the M50 that are almost mandatory when we're training with our howitzers. All right, Chase Hicks. That's not even as rude as some of the comments you get on here. But again, the problem, Gino, with some stuff is some countries have really weird, like ITAR style rules, like the US, about export of certain things. So yeah, money, preparing for the Zeds. Yeah, I've got a right helmet in the background. It's raining money. Again, I could do a killing floor type setup because other than the, some of the live guns, you basically, as a civilian, can get all the killing floor style gear. It's raining money. Isn't there Killing Floor 3 coming out at some point? But I've barely even looked into that. Again, I like the gameplay of Killing Floor 2 a lot, but I played more Killing Floor 1. But again, it's the problem with those sort of games is you have to have a load of people on you want to actually play with. Otherwise, playing with randos can be quite frustrating. Oh, it's actually out. Is it any good? Multicam ballistic helmet. Well, most helmets, it's only the cover that's the... Ah, nice. Yeah, that's a pretty damn big caliber, isn't it? 338 Lapu, or however it's pronounced. But yeah, anyway, let me just look at Killing Floor 2 now. Sorry, Killing Floor 3, and then I'll go back to the chat, just because otherwise I'll forget that we mentioned it. Just like I did get round to installing Metro Exodus when somebody brought that up when I was playing Stalker the other day. I finally installed Metro Exodus. It's like I said, it's been sat in my Steam library doing nothing for ages. No user reviews. Release date the 24th. Oh, it's still not technically out, Killing Floor 3. It comes out at some point today. So, yeah. How Killing Floor 3 will vary from the others, I don't know. It might just be like another graphically upgraded Killing Floor, I don't know. Yeah, I've played out before, but didn't quite finish it. As in, I got most of the way through it. Got to a bit where I wasn't sure what faction I wanted to pick with, you know, the ending, where I'd sort of not aggravated several factions. And then, yeah, it sort of got to the point where it's like, oh, I'll get round to when I've got a load more free time off work the following week, finishing it. And then I, you know, didn't. There's a DLC for it now, which is meant to be quite good. But again, I haven't looked into that because I haven't finished the main game yet. Completely legal, Frank. But again, crossbows, a lot of us are worried that the government might try and, you know, clamp down on those at some point. Because every time you get a murder in the UK with a crossbow, even say if 100 more people get murdered every year with a knife or, you know, being run over or whatever else, the government always makes a shit fit about crossbows because, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, they generally sort of, you know, I think they want to ban them, so they're looking for the excuse to do it. You like 1 or 2 per year and that's it. Generally, it's always like a domestic violence thing. Like the last one we had that was a high profile one, Brood Rooster, was where some guy was upset his girlfriend broke up with him. So he killed his girlfriend and their family with a crossbow sort of thing. But, or it's like, you know, where one drug dealer shoots another one with them. But yeah, most of the time, no, because of the fact that, you know, if you're going to be killing people in the UK, most people just do it with a knife or a hammer or whatever else. But yeah, so because I have quite a few crossbows, I haven't shot a load of them in ages because of not really having a place I can use as a range in the back garden anymore for it. But yeah. So you traded a Setney bayonet for a surplus weapons locker, but yeah, you're now not looking forward, John, to moving 60 kilos of steel in 40 Celsius weather. I certainly don't blame you. It got to about 35 something Celsius where I work the other day, because it's always hotter inside than outside and humid, and that was not fun working in that. So yeah. But yeah, so I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, most of these vests are level 2, and I think towards the end of their life they did make fillers for them that were 3A. But British ECBA, so Enhanced Combat Body Armor. And like I said, it's a funny vest because it was a stopgap vest. Basically, with these vests, the first version was just called the CBA, which I always find funny because it sounds like Can't Be Asked, the acronym. And originally it was just kind of like a US pass cut, basically. It was, you know, like a Kevlar body armor that went mostly around your torso as just a shrapnel thing. So basically the idea was that the bigger flak jackets got replaced by the CBA. But the problem was they quite quickly realized that, you know, they needed something with plates in. So this was the stopgap one where they just shoved plates. You know, they made a redesign of the outside of the jacket where it just literally has a plate holder on the front and back of the old. So this is essentially a pass cut, like with a little tiny plate pouch on each side. Later on, Britain obviously had proper body armors like the Osprey series and all that. But again, like I say, the ECBA stayed in service for ages because they found they were quite useful. And lots of troops that weren't on frontline duty, like sentry duty or whatever in Afghanistan and Iraq, didn't really need a heavy vest on. So it was much like, because again, this is actually a comfortable vest. It's not that heavy, and when you're wearing it, the weight is quite well supported. And like I said, you've got your front plate there, you've got your back plate. Like I said, the complaints with these is obviously the plates aren't very big, but again, Britain did the thing where you had these are the small plates, and then they did the armors that, you know, had the full-on like sappy plates or rectangular plates that covered the entire front and back of you. Yeah, I can understand why, Chase, you don't like people messing with your gun rights. But again, the problem you get in a lot of countries is how governments do it. Is they start off by they do it, you know, what's it like the slippery slope thing where they go, oh, we just want to limit your magazine size a bit, and then they'll do more and more and more little bits. Right, the actual Polish MP5 I quite like, but not the mask it's based off of, the French ARFA. So basically, the weird thing is the MP5 is a better quality version of the mask it's based on, because the Poles actually made it out of rubbers that don't fall apart after a few years, where the French, I actually did a video shooting mine to death with an airsoft gun, because it had already started falling apart. The French ARFAs, they literally made out of some sort of rubber that dries out into like a hard plastic. So, like, if you have an ARFA, I assume France isn't using them anymore. But the ARFA is kind of like one of those masks that's going to go extinct, in the sense that once there's no new production of the ARFA, after a set amount of time, all of them are literally going to collapse in on themselves because, again, the French made them out of weird plastics and rubbers that aren't, like, you know. But I kind of wonder if that's because of the thing of them not wanting civilians to own gas masks. So they thought, oh, if we make the masks like this, it does not matter if they end up on this glass bucket. They will fall apart. Ha ha ha. Wee wee. So maybe that was their logic on making them shit on purpose. I don't know. But the MP5 I actually like, yeah, because it's 40mm NATO. Again, I wish it had a normal strap system, not the weird French strap system where it like buckles up like that. But otherwise, yeah, the MP5 is perfectly serviceable. Mine's gone slightly yellow in the like plasticky visor bit, but there's no like air leaks with that visor. It's just slightly discolored. Oh, what guns was that on? Like Abrams or whatever and all that. But yeah, that sounds pretty crazy. I know, like, when the Finns and everybody do all the winter training, they obviously it must have some way of keeping stuff warm enough for that. But yeah. Yeah, like I said, the MP5, although yeah, like I said in the video I did today, Molotov, the MFJ or FMJ, however you want to call it, 08, is absolutely fine. like I said, it's basically just an S10 copy that's a bit different. Compared to, like I was saying, the On90, the one that Myra sells under whatever the bloody Myra name was for it. That one I don't like as much because it has the stupid eyepieces. And it had that bit on the bottom that once it fell off, I can't work out how to put it back on now. Even when I was off camera trying to shove that bit back on, it's one of those weird, like, you probably have to pull and push it at the same time, which is really awkward. But yeah, Poland has the MP6 now, which is quite nice, but I've sadly never seen MP6 masks on the surplus market. And there's a couple of variants of MP6, like panoramic ones and the ones with the two eyepieces. But, yeah. Yes, ECBA, Rob's Motos, exactly. Okay, people keep either saying, oh, you got an ECBA on, or they keep going, why are you wearing a vest, or what vest is that? Well, the FMJ08s, send it to Myra, so for more money you can have it made worse. Although Myra wouldn't know how they could change the mask around, would they? Because, again, they don't make anything. All they do is stick their name on it. So it's not like they have the rubber tooling and all that to do any of that. But yeah, like I said, the FMJ08 is good. Like I said, I did find somebody that at least said they ship to, at least ship to the UK, and they might ship to the US, because I know a lot of people are having issues with the FMJ08s, that like loads of the AliExpress listings didn't ship. And when I was trying to get an affiliate link for one earlier, I had to go through about 6 listings before I found one where, when I put the affiliate link in the link generator thing, like the page, the page there, it would actually let me generate it. All the others were giving me an error saying, like, does not ship to your country or something. Yeah, like I said, I want to get an MP6, but even people I know, like B-Store, that have connections, like with the Polish surplus market, have found those hard to get. It just seems to be one of those ones that the Poles have done quite a good job of keeping, like through official channels and not just getting sold off in bulk. But yeah, like I said, because the point I was bringing up to people, Rob's Motos, earlier, wasn't it, with the ECBA, is that this was actually quite practical. That, yeah, it's got a small plate in it, but again, this wasn't even a plate carrier original. Like I said, the original CBA didn't have the plate on the front and back. They were just ones where, like I said, they were like, this was the stopgap armor. But yeah, so I'm hoping that when I get, because I've ordered another surplus police vest that is actually my size this time and looks like it's in good condition. I'm hoping when that arrives, because it looks quite slimline, I can wear that, and then on top of that, I can wear that plate carrier I've got and put level 4 plates in it, and then that way I'll actually have proper full-on size body armor. But again, the problem with, like I said, a lot of the other surplus armors is because when you buy them, they don't have the plates and the fillers inside them. They sort of take them out when they surplus them. It's hard to find plates that fit in well, because generally some of the armies have weird, like slightly smaller, like by 1 inch sizes than most of the commercial plates. Cheap gas masks. If you want new ones, probably AliExpress, if not eBay, Etsy for secondhand ones. It is actually over your heart, so it might not look like it, but obviously your heart is, because obviously that is like a thing that your hand. So maybe you can see where my hand's going. That is actually, it's a bit deceptive how it looks. But yeah, so with this, that is basically covering your heart. Like, again, if you're unlucky and shot from an angle like that, then it wouldn't. But the main point of this is it covers your heart and one of your lungs. Again, the only thing with this, and some people might know why, is to me it would have made more sense if they put the plates maybe that way round. So it was kind of, but then I guess they'd have to have a different, like, sealing system at the front. Because like I said, how these work is it's like one of those overlapping pouches where you... I didn't put that the right way up again, didn't I? Not that I think it matters too much yet. Surplus like NBC suits and that, the charcoal type ones, are generally still fine for particle protection. Yeah, because that was the argument some of us were having the other day, Rob, because I was saying to people that if you have like the Chicom chest rigs and all that, at least with something like the ECBA, have I got the Chicom chest rig in here just to demonstrate this? Because I did have it on the stream, but Yeah, you can have the webbing or the ECBA, can't you, over webbing or like any of those over the top of it, where with the other armors it's built onto the armor. Oh, there it is. Okay. They don't fall over there. Hang on. And again, I know some people have said that is the way to wear. Yeah, you could have your like mag carrier, can't you, on like that. I bought loads of masks from AliExpress. Like I said, what I normally do, Rilks, though, is I'll buy a mask from AliExpress for myself. If it's any good, I normally review them if they're good or bad. If they're good and I review them, I put an affiliate link in the description of said video, so people can buy them through a link I've generated, essentially. But when they're crap ones, I don't bother making a link for them. Yeah, Romanian M74 in the background. But yeah, so yeah, that was the nice thing, like Rob was saying, is obviously an ECBA style vest means that you can just put whatever webbing you want over the top of it and it's not a problem. But do I have a big mag handy to test this with? Again, I know that's a Chicon one, but if I just get a mag on its own, YouTube should go super random. Yeah, it's got wet. That's because the aircon's dripping. Is that going to fit in there? Yeah. Again, I don't have the back bit done up to stop this coming off my shoulders easy, but yeah, the Pasca is similar, but the Pasca doesn't have plates in it. The US did have one slightly after the Pasca with plates, so yeah. Like I was saying, that yeah, you can obviously have your mags. So there's my AUG mag that's got slightly damp on the thing it's been fitting with condensation. But yeah, Rilks, if you watch some of my recent videos on AliExpress stuff, I've done affiliate links in the description to the stuff if it was any good. So, like the MF14, for example. But yeah, I've got some other stuff coming from AliExpress also. When that arrives, I'll do videos. Yeah, in theory, you could go to Britain and buy surplus from surplus shops and then try and leave. It's just like saying, if it was in your hand luggage, they might get a bit fucking weird. Why are you bringing gas masks in your hand luggage or whatever? But technically, there'd be nothing illegal about having gas masks and like stuff like that in your luggage, I imagine, like your proper hold luggage, like a suitcase. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense as well, like saying the pouch is not digging in. But yeah, again, like I said, I've got no experience actually using it. I just know it's out of any of the surplus armors I've tried on, it's actually comfortable. The US Pasca is comfortable as well. But yeah, I completely get what you mean with this. You can actually, it's more modular, I guess, but modular in the retro way of being modular, not in the modern way of being modular. But yeah, so it's quite deep magwells, aren't they, in the Chicon ones, considering that an SLR mag doesn't even go all the full way down. Yeah, like I said, of course, it's one of those things that I on purposely with a lot of stuff prefer getting it. Yeah, the FMJ08 is good. I did a link. If you look in the video I did on the FMJ08, I actually found a link that says it ships internationally, because I had to go through with quite a few listings of the FMJ08, MFJ08, whatever you want to call it, before I found one that actually shipped internationally, because loads of them kept doing the bloody thing of every time I tried to then generate, the web page from AliExpress into an affiliate link, it would keep going like, this doesn't ship to your country or whatever. But yeah, like I said, because this, to me, Rob, feels quite similar to, like saying, that surplus police vest I have, which obviously isn't a military vest. But it's the fact that you can wear it and you don't notice it on too much. Medically unfit to, Frank, even if I wanted to, unless they massively, let's say a war happens, like, you know, with Russia or whatever like that, and they massively lower the criteria for getting in because they get really fucking desperate, at which case they might let me in. But I've got a couple of medical conditions that are big no-nos on their like list of whatever's allowed. Because again, some of my other family members have been in various bits of the services over the years, but like I said, for me, it was, I already knew by the time I got to 18 that I had a couple of things wrong with me, which are like completely, you know, like you can't sign up for. But again, I know like when you see stuff going on in Ukraine and whatever, as countries do get more desperate, if there's, you know, they're stuck in longer wars, the recruitment, you know, like age gaps and medical conditions, more and more stuff starts getting allowed in because they start getting, you know, more in need of men. So rather than like trying to get really good, high quality, like healthy and fit people to begin with, they start going, yeah, let's scrape the barrel a bit. Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things. I won't talk bad about the army or anything, like I said, because unlike a lot of bits of the UK, things like police and that, I don't think soldiers are going to come bash my door in for saying mean things online or whatever. Not like saying mean things to people online, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's one of those things that that's all right. So like I said, because with the AliExpress things, if I find something that's good and it gives me an affiliate link, I always get like a bit of money back from it as well, which is quite good. Oh yeah, yeah, the Forrest Gump soldiers, yeah. So it's like McNamara's Morons or something it was called, wasn't it? His thing. But yes, again, if what in basically any country you'll find as well, if they're in an existential war, the longer it goes on, the more they basically say, look, if people would otherwise fight, and it's probably not going to impact them too much, we're so desperate for men, you know. Because if you've seen with the Russians now, I think they've gone up to something like 70 plus for their max recruiting age. And like I said, there's people on the front lines with crutches and that. Some of them because they're getting sent back in to die, so they don't have to look after them after the war. But yeah, but same thing with Ukraine as well, obviously, because they, with most armies, they want people to voluntarily sign up, not be conscripts, because then, again, you're going to get people in there that are going to cause you issues. Yeah, but again, mental illnesses is probably the thing that they'll eventually drop because, again, in a lot of other countries, like I said, mental illness things start getting very lax. As long as it's not, you know, like full on, not to be mean to people, but, you know, like schizophrenic hearing voices might gun down your comrades thing. Oh, some of them get crutches and not a gun. But yeah, wasn't Heavy Trooper the funny thing that on the US, was it Semtex or whatever, they said don't eat it? Like it said not for eating, like the plastic from the plastic on the fucking C4, or it was like on the what's the Claymores, they did something like that, and they had to tell soldiers not to eat the bloody shit inside it. Ah, that's interesting, yeah. So it was get an old barrack shirt and remove the shoulder tabs and get them to be sewn onto the shoulders EPA and that web it's like, oh cool, so what, like on that bit? Because I know on like the older British vests, they have like the bits there, don't they? So the rifles and bits don't slide off. So yeah, I can understand why. Yeah, this side towards enemy, but yeah. Yeah, like we said to as the thing is like, yeah, again, I think a lot of people don't understand is when armies are at peacetime and they're basically meant to be kept on as low a budget as possible, most nations sort of really cheap out on them. You know, so they want the best kind of fittest people to be in there to start with, so they don't need to do as much to get them into shape to be in the military. Obviously, you still train them and that. And then the idea is, again, that's why like lots of nations have been skimping in the West on tanks and whatever else, like, you know, retiring equipment and not replacing it. But you find when nations get pulled into proper wars that, you know, they just suddenly know that they need to do stuff to survive rather than worrying too much about all of the bureaucratic crap around it. Well, I don't know if you know this, but similar, I don't know if it was a similar thing with like the plastic explosives. But yeah, like you're saying, Heavy Trooper, what used to happen in World War One apparently with the in British bullets, you had the cartridges, you had cordite, you know, the like weird spaghetti looking stuff as the propellant. So rather than being a powder, it was like this weird spaghetti stuff, cordite. Cordite, if you ate it, apparently made you trip balls and like be diarrhea and really ill. So soldiers, to try and get medically discharged in World War One, would open like a 303 up or whatever and eat the cordite out of that. And, you know, sometimes they'd find out they'd done that and shoot them anyway as like, you know, deserters or whatever. But other times people would get discharged and other times they'd be in a sick bay for a bit and then sent back to the front. Oh yeah, that makes yeah, a lot of sense. Which sign? So that one was on eBay. The Fallout Shelter ones was printed off. The big road sign with a gas mask on that you can just about see, that was off eBay. It was from somewhere, no, some sort of military range somewhere where they were selling off all the old road signs. You can tell it's an old road sign because it's made from that horribly like plasticky metal flaky material if you ever like pick it up. But yeah, so that was a road sign for like a that's the thing of it. So yeah, that one's like a road sign for like on a military range of like danger chemicals, danger gas, because they also had like, you know, dangered unexploded ordnance, you know, all those sort of things. Heavy vehicles like tanks, you know, so don't get crushed, don't get gassed, don't get exploded on a mine. So they were like obviously just put up like miniature road signs, I guess, when they were doing certain exercises. The big poster, I can't remember if that's a reprint or not, but it's a good one I got from somewhere in the Baltics, and it's the old Soviet various like masks and how to be fitted for the size. And at one point I had all the masks that are on the picture hanging up above it, but I don't know because a load of them got taken down or fell down, and then they're pretty hard to get back there to put back up. But yeah, and then the toxic dump one over there, a friend got me that probably when we were still at secondary school or like sixth form. I think they did that on Surplus and Lost or somewhere, with the stenciled gas mask on it. And underneath that, that's a Polish DP, is it DP60? I'm trying to remember the number of that one. But it's the Polish, like the DP66 is equivalent for vehicles. With an FM12, the modern British Army fits it. Helmet fits it very well. The like the Virtus helmet or whatever, because it's got that bicycle lock bit at the back, which adjusts really well to it. With the other helmets, I think a British Mark 7 fits fairly well with the FM12. But I think most decent helmets won't be an issue. Like a Pascat, how that's cut would probably be fine, where it has like the Stahlhelm type front. But yeah, I think most helmets with an FM12 would be all right. Oh, the East German one, yeah, and that's not a poster. That's an East German MM1. Well, the mask's originally Russian, but MM1 gas mask on an East German mannequin. Yeah, so do they do a good job then of trying not to let soldiers get drunk on well stuff? Because I know that, sadly, I know in the British stuff, the rum ration is completely discontinued now for the Navy and that. But I do know with, I think it was when I was listening to Ukraine's latest podcast, and Dom Nichols on that, who used to be in the British Army, was saying that apparently Americans like British troops because when they are on bases, the British troops could buy alcohol off duty or something, and the Americans couldn't. So the Americans would trade stuff for the beer or whatever. I've got East German rain camo stuff, but not in here. I've got the coolest rain camo thing I have is the cover for the M10 gas mask. So the chemical hood in rain camo, but otherwise I've just got like the shirts and the trousers with the keep saying suspenders, braces. You know, but yeah, I've also got the Czech stuff, and the Czech stuff is cooler Because the Czech stuff, if you look through it under night vision IR, is a different camo. It's raindrop to the normal eye, but then it's like a weird frog spawn pattern, the Czech stuff, if you see it. You know, with the... I'll do a video on that tomorrow if I remember. Because with this camera, because it's got a night vision camera built into it, I can actually film a video and upload it to YouTube, literally directly showing you how it looks, you know, to your eye compared to IR with the Czech version. But yeah, the Czech one's really cool from the Cold War. It's very similar to East German Raindrop. I think they called it like needle camo or something like that. Because I think the Poles, the East Germans, the Czech, and one other country in the Warsaw Pact, I can't remember if it was Bulgaria or somewhere, all had like raindrop style camos. Get into fun trouble. The Ghost Recon games, I haven't played any of the new ones. I played some of the very old Ghost Recons. But yeah, Tom Clancy. Yeah, the Czech one, again, I don't have it in this room, but let me look up the name of it for you. Sorry, I was just looking over there in case. So I used to have a Czech Deerstalker hat with it on as well. But I don't think that's in the room at the moment, otherwise I'd show it you. But I've done videos on it, I'll just do a video on it tomorrow. So Czechoslovakian needle camo. Right, so I'm just seeing if I can find a picture where somebody shows it under IR and not under IR, because there used to be a good picture like that. But anyway, I will just link a picture of what the actual camo looks like. So here's it on a parka, just as in a shirt. No, that's a later one, Rob. I've got that, but that's a later Czech one. That was near the end of the Cold War. Yeah, but I'll find that one. But yeah, I know the one you mean. I've got some of that stuff as well, but that was like a much later camo that didn't. So you can just about see in that image the pattern that's underneath the raindrop pattern. But when you look at that through an IR like night vision device, it's totally like the frog spawny looking pattern. The US definitely had the one, Frank, that was used in the Gulf War, which was designed to look like artifacts on a night vision device. The idea was it was basically built so Soviet night vision tubes would just see it as static and interference, and it wouldn't look like anything. Regarding beards and gas masks, I would not know unless you personally tried it, because obviously, Desert Night Camo, there you go. Because obviously most gas masks say do not use with a beard whatsoever, but I know that people say depending on the size of your beard and if you grease it up or whatever, some masks seal, some don't. But I'm afraid I can't tell you, because I always grow a beard that makes me look like, I was going to say a bit noncy or whatever. So I tend not to try and grow a beard, because I get one of the ones that, you know, it kind of has little patches, you know, in various places. Although one of my mates has had a beard for years, and I know with him, some gas masks seal fine and others don't. But again, he's not handy, so I can just get him and say, check this while I smelling salt you to see if it works. But yeah, again, I think depending on how big your beard is, if it's not too big, I think a lot of masks still will seal, especially if they seal around the chin area on some masks rather than Anyway, I'll head off in a minute because I've been on about an hour. So yeah, for anybody that was asking about links for stuff with AliExpress, as I've said, if you go on the relevant video, I've tried to always do an affiliate link in the description of said video, so people can actually, you know, get a buying link for that said product, and then I think on some products you get as much as 10% back, but a lot of them you get, you know, just 1 or 2%, but still, you know, because it's going to be the same price if you buy it through my affiliate link as if you find it anyway on AliExpress, and that way, with some of the masks, I get like a £5 back through it, which is nice. Oh, Alpenflage, yeah. Yeah, Alpenflage, again, is one of those camos that because it's got so much red in it, it looks like it would be crap until you see it actually in use, and Alpenflage is great. Yeah, thanks. Have a good day. Right, so tomorrow I want to try and remember to do a video on that check thing, because it's easy to actually, like saying, just do that video, and I'll do it as a short, because where I've done a couple of landscape videos, again, YouTube might not like that. They'll probably be going, why aren't you doing shorts? The Zoomers are going to get bored. Which one's KZS camo before I go? KZS camo. Ah, the Soviet one. I know the one. Yeah, the one I like that's a bit like that is SS Leto. So, and SS Leto is very similar to that one. But yeah, SS Leto is really nice, a bit like that one, because, again, that's based on an old, like, hence the name SS1 from World War II, but they've changed the colours a bit. But yeah, Partisan suit, that's the one. I think it's technically called, like, Fracture or Islam, isn't it, under the Russian name for it. But SS Leto was one of their names for it. Is it Leto rather than Leto? I'm doing it like Duke Leto Atreides from Dune. But, which gas mask do I recommend? That's going to be a bit of a long thing because I'm just going off. Watch a load of my videos because I recommend lots. What I normally do at the moment is I'm doing videos with the stuff I buy, say, from China that's cheap. I'll do a video on it and say, is this good or not? And if it's good, there's the link in the description. Because some of the Chinese ones are crap, some are not. The OM90, no. Like I said, when I did the video on the OM90, it's not awful, but nah, just the Chinese FMJ08 is better if you're getting an S10 ripoff. Yeah, Alpenflage, obviously in fall autumn, yeah, is going to work well because it's got the reds in it like the leaves. I like the Flecktarn that had a lot more of the like orangey red in it, where the newer Flecktarns look a bit more muddy. A Chinese SAR helmet? What are you on about? I do have a read your chat. I've just read your chat. Oh, I'm not going to punch the mannequin. Not going to punch that because that would damage my mannequin, knock it over, and the MM1 on it is worth. Yeah, he's checking that you're not escaping over the Berlin Wall. But yeah, somewhere I actually have got one of those quite good quality steel, fairly modern Chinese helmets. But again, I don't know which storage container it's in. All right, which ones? Which would look better in an Altin, a PMG1 or PMKS? Let me look up what the Altin is, but the PMKS is a better mask. Is the Altin the helmet? Oh, yeah, the helmet. Sorry, I was thinking it was a camo then. So, real quick thoughts on Flecktarn. I really, really like Flecktarn, like I was saying, when it used to have a lot more oranges and brighter greens in it. The more like muddy, kind of boring Flecktarn I don't like as much because they've done different prints over the years and different, like, you know, essentially colour saturations version. The more saturated Flecktarn I like because the colours contrast each other more. I still don't know what... they made a Team Wendy Saar helmet. What's a Team Wendy Saar helmet? I don't have one of those. Whatever a Chinese Saar helmet is. When you say Saar, I keep thinking you're doing the do not redeem thing. Hello, Saar. Yeah, there's also a few other countries have done like... Oh, tell you know, a modern camo I really like, but I haven't seen reproduced much yet. Is it Finnish MO5 camo? That stuff is really good. Again, it kind of reminds me of Flecktarn, but Finnish MO5 is really bloody good camo. But yeah, PMKS I would recommend more than the PMG1. And the PMKS as well is better than the PMK4 because apparently the PMKS still takes proper 40mm GOST filters. whereas the PMK4s now take their own unique kind of proprietary filters. Yeah, Danish M84 is the Danish green and black Flecktarn, isn't it? My mate's got a jacket in that, but it's really hard to get that stuff as surplus now. Oh, I have got some Repro Rhodesian camo coming as well, because the Chinese are now finally doing Rhodesian camo that's at a good price. Because generally in the UK, to get Rhodesian camo, you'd either have to buy the really old, incredibly expensive surplus stuff that's faded, or you'd have to buy like some of the companies that do the copies of it, but they charge quite a lot. Where you know, and then they wouldn't necessarily have it in your size or whatever. Go practice your accordion then. No, I don't know anything about Macedonian camo, and I'm just going off. But yeah, the Chinese now, they're not doing the shorts, unfortunately, because I wanted to buy some Rhodesian shorts that are about that long for the funny value of it. But they do the trousers, the shirts, and the hats in pretty, what looks like, I'll obviously do a review, and if it's crap, I won't recommend it when it arrives. But yeah, so I am quite pleased. It does seem China is getting on the let's make Rhodesian camo game, because brushstroke is a really nice camo. And it's one of those shames that, yeah, again, if I like the pants, the trousers, I might then buy a second pair of them and then cut the others shorter. But like I said, I'm not going to do that with the first ones I have. I'll just keep them as trousers. But yeah, who likes short shorts? We like short shorts. But yeah, so I'll be doing a video on those when they come as well. But again, a lot of this stuff from China, if you're lucky, it gets here in 5 days. Sometimes it's a couple of weeks. So, anyway, have a good day, everybody. I'll be off. I'm going to play some Stalker Lost Alpha, because I hadn't played that in years, and it's actually a lot more polished than it used to be. So when I started it the other day, I was like, oh, this is surprisingly good. Yeah, have a good day, everybody. See you all. And as said, if you're looking for affiliate links to any of the stuff, if I've reviewed it recently and it was good, I put a link in the description. If it was crap and I didn't recommend it, I didn't obviously generate a link for it, because I wouldn't recommend you get it.